Welcome to Alternatives to AA. This is Joshua Robinson, and I've been 3 years sober.
And I'm Monique Robinson, and I'm 2 years sober. And we're here on a mission to help make the difficult journey of sobriety even easier to manage. Nobody in my world ever thought that I'd actually manage to be sober. So now we're taking what we've learned in the last decade to be able to help you too.
And we're not against AA. We just need to learn how to manage the other 23 hours of the day. From communication to relationships to self-care, we're going to show you how to cope when your triggers try to take you down.
Join us every Monday at 6 p.m. to uncover not only how to live without alcohol, but to thrive in sobriety and to swap out your addiction for a better life with the help of Alternatives to AA. So let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Alternatives to AA. Got Brian with me today, and we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and just reflecting on 2022. And so let's go from there. So what are some of your goals for this upcoming year?
Well, I'm really excited to see Braxton, go to his wrestling meets. They're back in full swing now. I'm really excited to see his progress, as he gets older and bigger and stronger. It's a thing that's important to me, and helping him along the way. Personally, from not abusing my body, with drinking as much. And, that was a big step for me this past year. Even when we had the first podcast, when I stopped before my powerlifting meet, that was hard. And that was something that I'm going to continue to do, from now on. And, that's really a goal that I need to continue to, maintain. And I'm looking forward to that because I know the way that I feel when I'm not drinking and I'm not abusing my body with, not sleeping enough and not resting enough. And, it's just burning the candle at both ends is not good. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping to compete again in the end of April. And, because I haven't been drinking, my strength has gone up. My weight has gone up.
Yeah.
Gained 15 pounds. I was also really stressed out toward the end, middle of 2022 there. But I feel comfortable. I feel good. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I don't get kicked out of the sign up like I did for the one before.
Right. I just got to sign up earlier.
I know.
Today.
I know. I signed up. I signed up for that one, and it was sold out in 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the one in this last May that I didn't get to do. So then I did the one in Philly that you came to.
Yeah, that just sounds like crazy that it was sold out in 10 minutes.
I know. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that and just see where that takes me. Job's going well. I don't really have anything specific. It's just increasing my quality of life for myself is what I'm going to do.
Okay. Because
I've been very selfless. I don't want to be selfish, but I need to take stock in myself a bit more.
So
and do some things that are good for me,
So your goal is to just make your life better.
Yeah.
Overall.
Quality of life. Get to bed at 9:30. Be a good dad. Yeah, it's crazy when you stop doing something that's bad for you. Especially for me, drinking can kind of keep me awake,
Yeah.
Way past my bedtime.
Yeah, it's like a stimulant too.
To me, it certainly is. And then I'll just crash, But in reality, I'm tired at 9:30, man. But
mentally,
drinking past 9:30. I don't mean not drinking past 9:30. Staying up past 9:30, 10:30 till 1 a.m. on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't make any sense.
It's a self-destructive thing.
Totally.
Because it's just everything's going good in your life, and it's well, why don't I just stay up? You're happy about it, right?
Yeah.
But you're well, why don't I? But then you kind of destroy it at the same time by going overboard with the happiness that you got.
Right.
And that's how it was with drinking for me. You're a little bit happy, and then you just want to keep upping it, right?
Well, the thing about drinking is that the pleasure doesn't come from being drunk. It comes from the onset of the intoxication, right? So the ramping up is the fun part.
Mm-hmm.
The getting drunk part is the fun part.
Yeah. staying drunk.
After that, it's not fun because then your body starts to detox, right?
Yep.
And then, you're out. So, you've only been out for a couple hours. Like, I'll just have another drink because it'll make me feel better. It re-stimulates that ramping up feeling, that pleasurable feeling. Go to a bar and drink like 3 shots in a row, like quickly. And just observe yourself. The pleasure that you get from the onset of the alcohol. And don't drink anymore. And then analyze how your body feels when you start to come down off of it.
Oh, yeah. Not good.
And that's the pleasurable part of it, is the ramping up, not the detoxing part sucks. I mean, you could be hungover for 2 days.
Yeah, and
after a rough night,
Yeah, and the ramping up part is way quicker than the down.
It's very brief.
Yeah. Yeah, like the ramping up stage is probably only like you feel that upward. Mm-hmm. I don't know. For me, I guess it was always like 1 to 2 hours. I guess it's how fast you're drinking too, till you get to that like peak, and then after that you're just drinking just to maintain it, but you're just feeling worse and worse as the night goes on.
Then your body gets physically tired, and you should go to bed, but you kind of feel crummy. So you're like, well, I'm coming down now. I'll just go have another one or whatever.
Yeah, that's why some people smoke cigarettes, I guess, to try to keep them awake.
Dude, okay,
I never did that.
I never considered myself addicted to alcohol ever.
Okay,
it was something that I enjoyed doing. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a hobby, right?
Yeah, it's like a nice hobby. Yeah, it's fun. Let's try this beer today. Let's try this whiskey. Oh, this one's better. This one I felt, made me feel this, but whatever.
Yeah,
it is a hobby, right? You look at that big section of all the beer and the whatever you like to drink, and you're just like, what do we want to try today?
And you want to try to get the fancier ones to impress your friends sometimes.
Occasionally you spend $80 on a bottle, and when you're just doing it by yourself, you spend $20.
For sure. So, for yourself, you get the cheapest. At least that's how I was.
Tobacco, smoking.
Yeah.
There's people that smoke one type of cigarette the whole life.
Yeah.
They don't try new they don't try new stuff. They don't,
Yeah.
It's not a hobby. It's a complete fucking addiction.
I would agree with that, yeah.
And they can't help but go smoke.
Yeah.
They just can't.
Because they implement it into so many parts of their life.
Yes.
It's like wake up, have a cigarette. Eat lunch, have a cigarette. So like, and to then like, what am I going to do when I was smoking is hard to do something that pleasurable. So it's like,
yes,
you have to change your whole routine around to some aspect.
And it gets to the point where they don't even do anything for you anymore.
Yeah, because
you constantly have nicotine in your body and it's constantly draining, and you just need to re-up every hour or so. So some people, back in the day, like when I was a kid, my best friend when I was a kid, I used to go over his house all the time. His dad chain smoked in the house. And that's just what it was like back then. 3 packs a day.
Wow. How much does a pack? 18?
20.
Okay. I was saying 18.
And I actually had an issue.
So wait, so he had 60 cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
What the
So if you figure you're awake you sleep for 8 hours, that's a third of the day, right? Yeah. So you got 16 hours, so 60 cigarettes in 16 hours.
Wow, so he's like doing like 3 or 4.
Like 4 an hour.
What the hell?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Every 15 minutes.
Yeah, if you don't puff on the cigarette, it'll pretty much just kind of lightly burn there, Yeah. You can smoke a cigarette in 45 seconds if you want to.
Yeah.
Or you can smoke it in 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
If you just let it sit there.
Gotcha.
But like that was, the dude, he couldn't stop.
Yeah.
He just could not stop.
Because that literally became the habit that he was doing all day, every day.
Yeah. Now that's an extreme example, right?
Yeah.
So here's a night out in a smoker's mind. Okay, this is the habit you were just talking about. You associate certain things with it. We do that with drinking too. You go to a football game, you go to baseball. We're gonna get fucking. Let's get tuned up in the parking lot before we go inside.
Yeah, or like you're going to a party, I have to have a beer.
Yeah, like pregame. So, but okay. Here's a night out. All right, I'm gonna go outside, smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
10 minutes after leaving the house, cigarette.
Yeah.
When are we gonna be there? I don't know, like 15 minutes or so. Lights up a cigarette. Outside the restaurant, smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
After the first drink, Smoke a cigarette before the food comes, right? Just ordered, so the food's going to be 15, 20 minutes or so. Smoke a cigarette. Leave. The post-dinner cigarette is like the one that people associate a lot with. Because it's like you have the pleasure of being full, and then you get this external pleasure from the nicotine. So you're
you're really high off it.
Yeah, you get this dopamine rush, right? This is not me who did this, by the way. I was not a smoker at this time for this story. I'm just explaining to you somebody.
It's similar to like when people have sex and then they smoke right afterwards.
Yes, exactly. It's weird.
I don't know how common that is nowadays.
Admittedly, I have done that, but it's weird smoking a cigarette in a bed. So
like,
odd.
where do you put the ashes?
Just next to the bed. It's so bizarre. I don't know. Stupid behavior. So then, anyway, the post dinner cigarette.
Yeah.
Get in the car. 10 minutes after getting in the car, smoke a cigarette. The same 10 minutes before we get home, smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
Have one before going in the house. Go inside, do whatever, and then smoke like 2 before bed.
Yeah.
That's a night out. And when you're out and you're being social, you're doing it more. Because you're associating fun with the nicotine.
So you might even do it a couple more times.
So you'll do it more often. Yeah, exactly.
It sounds exhausting, but like you said, it's like impulsive at that point.
It has to be
about it.
Yeah,
it's like instinctual.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm going to do something fun. Pull out a cigarette. If you're associating the pleasure that you're experiencing physically with this external.
It's so weird. You know, it's like really weird, but kind of reminds me of cell phones. Because you can whip it out at any time, and you're like, oh, I'm bored.
Exactly.
You know, and now, you're on the toilet, flip it. Like, that's what it sounds like. It sounds exactly like the phones, but everyone's addicted to this shit.
I know.
And I just think it's always going to be this addiction, no matter what. Like, if you're going to be involved in society, but not to, like, go off the tracks. But
double-edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, dude, I'll go order lunch.
Yeah.
Go to like a deli or whatever, and wait in the waiting room while they make my sandwich. I have to bring my phone in.
Yeah, because
so that I can sit there at the table and like.
This is kind of what I'm saying. It's like compulsive that like without when you're not doing anything. So the same kind of thing with smokers. When you're not doing anything, what do? Okay, I'll get the cigarette, and then now it's people. Oh, what do I do? And then they grab their phone. Yeah, they don't know how to like just sit in silence and. Like, because other people think that's kind of weird too nowadays. Like, if someone just like literally just sitting there, just like, I don't know, right? If you're not like on your phone, some people might think.
Well, we were just talking about it before this because you were saying that my friend sends you memes. You guys send each other memes all day long.
Yeah. So
I do that with like 5 people. Yeah. I see something funny, I send it to them. And that's like we're interacting with each other because we have like a common interest. Somebody will send me a video of like, somebody, you know, doing a burnout or something like that, or driving a motorcycle 200 miles an hour on the highway. It's like, oh, check this crazy guy out, and we're interacting just in a different way. Yeah, you know,
but it's a more intense way too.
Yeah,
because like when you tell somebody something in person, the story. Yeah, it's like you have to put a lot of effort in. But when you have a meme or something like that, a video, it's like that is all right in your face, so easy.
And you're getting, I think it's dopamine. Yeah, you're getting a dopamine hit constantly. Every time you see something new, you know. And you know, speaking of about addiction, just in general, you know, because people aren't only addicted to alcohol and tobacco, and people have porn addictions. People have phone addictions. They have. I mean, harder drugs, obviously, too, which just completely ruin their lives. Food addiction is a huge one.
Yep. A lot of times for former alcoholics, that's what I did for a while, too. I put on some weight. It's just like, and it's obviously better, but then you have to realize, okay, maybe even though this is less harmful comparatively, like maybe there's another thing that you slowly like step down the addiction.
Yeah. Well, think about what's the part of the process of the addiction that gives you the feel good feelings. For me, with drinking was like that like pouring that first glass.
Oh yeah, you're anticipating
the anticipation.
That's the most exciting part. Like you're planning this shit. Like when you're at work and you're like, oh, I fucking hate this job. I can't wait to get the fuck out of here.
I know.
And you're just like, my back hurts. Everything sucks. But guess what? party's coming soon, and you're just like, you just think it's gonna be the best fucking time ever, and sometimes it is for a little bit, but yeah, you just get so amped up, and yeah, I agree. You're like, I would get so excited for like a couple hours.
This shit sucks, but it's gonna be really fun later.
Good. So it's gonna be this total like you're down here, and later you're gonna be up in in heaven. Right?
Yeah, you're gonna be in your comfortable place that makes you happy.
Yeah,
I mean, I work in the construction industry. I mean, you do too, kind of. But not with like a lot of like workers, right? It's like it's you and your dad,
it's
so
like
it's a little different.
Dudes, like
a couple guys, but like in like companies that I worked for, end of the day comes.
Oh yeah.
Hey man, pick up a 30 on the way home, and we'll sit there at work and drink like 2-3 beers at work with all the guys.
Yeah, it's very much into the culture that we live in, because work hard, like play hard, kind of.
Yeah. Or there's guys that get off work. I mean, shit, there's construction workers back in like the 80s and 90s that were completely unsupervised.
They're drinking
all day long.
Everyone knows this. Like,
this is not common knowledge. This is common knowledge.
Kind of like the norm back then. But then, now they have more regulations. People aren't so lax about that.
Dude.
A little dangerous too.
Yeah. Hey man, all the buildings are still standing, so
That's
they did something right. There's bridges from the 40s that still, the Brooklyn Bridge is still up. So
it's funny. It's still amazing. Like, guys could do that while drunk and still like do such good, engineering.
Yeah, this is bad. But every time I would go out to work on my car, because I have my old car, that it's my project, I bring a beer out with me.
Oh yeah,
I take a shot and I'd bring 2 beers out with me, and I would do complex mechanical things that not very many people in the world know how to do.
Yeah, with
a buzz, and that car runs great.
Yeah, for sure. And I know like that's actually super common with most mechanics.
Yeah,
they'll like I know this one guy. He's like been doing it forever, and he just drinks like light beers all day long.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like obviously. That's not the best thing to do.
No.
I'm not promoting this, but this is what some people do.
It was common, and the original reason I said that is because I used to work with guys that were like, they would drive from the construction site directly to the bar.
Yeah.
Like, no home, no wife, no family, no.
Yeah. Hey,
sweetie, I'll see you soon. It's like, I can't wait to get to the fucking bar.
Yeah, it's a hard life. Like especially like the union guys, they're working like weird hours in the city and stuff.
Yep.
It's like really brutal work, and your back hurts, everything hurts. So like, people want relief, like pain relief, but there's obviously better ways of going about that too. Like, it's like spending that money on a chiropractic or like massage therapist once in a while instead of booze, like that.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of those blue collar guys I've noticed through the years I'm like white collar construction.
Gotcha.
Because I work in the office.
Yeah.
So it's different for me.
Yeah, because you're behind a keyboard.
I'm behind a keyboard. I'm, doing, working in Excel all day long, calculating and stuff. So I wasn't out there with them, but I interacted with those guys a lot. And I've been out in the field to help occasionally.
And you've worked with my dad a little bit.
Yeah.
And so what it's like.
One of the reasons I'm good at what I do on the computer is because I've been in the field many times before, and have installed, when I was not busy at work with AutoCAD work or other stuff when I was younger in my career, they would just send me out on the road with the guys and I would just help. Nice. And I learned how all this stuff, because the boss was like, you're going to build this stuff in the computer, you need to learn how it goes together in real life.
I think that's important because it's kind of like abstract if you're never like actually a part
you can't you can't visualize the construction of something if it's just in a 2D form.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you know how physically it works, you can portray it visually on 2D.
Yeah, for sure.
So that the guys understand what it means and you understand what it means.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people draw stuff and it's like, dude, that's not going to even work like that.
Like, what's going on?
How are we going to hang this thing? You're just going to There's this stupid saying in the construction industry. It's like, are you going to use an air hook?
An air hook. It's like,
oh, well, you drew it, so I guess it works. You know, it's, yeah. But no, those guys are, they almost glamorize the hard life, you know? It's like military guys that have been
the blue collar guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can glamorize the misery of the fucking lifestyle.
I can attest to that 100%. My dad's like that hardcore, and he kind of taught me that way too. Yeah. And I never really like bought into it too much.
Yeah. No, you don't seem like you have it all.
Yeah, but there's still a part of me that it still glamorizes it. So once in a while I'll like push myself like way too hard. Yeah. Just because like you want to be so hard, and how much can you push yourself? I think that's just a guy thing. Guys need to do that. It doesn't matter like who you are. It's just a man thing, I think. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I never looked at it like that. Like I'm miserable right now. Yeah. So I'm just gonna grit and bear it. Yeah. Or grin and bear it. And then and I'm gonna work even harder
than it was before.
Just to relish this misery that I'm in. Like when I played football, when we would practice, rain, shine, cold, sleet, fucking 8 feet of snow on the ground. You know what I mean? Being facetious. 3-4 inches of snow on the ground. We got to practice. We got a game Sunday.
Yeah, for sure.
They're practicing. Yep. So we're practicing 5 days a week, from 5 to 8 every fucking day. Yeah. Or 6 to 8. Sorry, it's 2 hour practice every day. I remember this one time specifically where I was like, man, this is hard. I'm a badass. This is awesome. We were doing push-ups in the fucking mud. Oh, yeah. Because it was raining. Nice. And at the end of every practice, they would just beat the shit out of us physically. Run, we would do sprints and fucking bear crawls 100 yards. And by the time the practice is over, everybody's hanging their fucking head like, And I remember it started pouring. And we were in the middle of our conditioning. And we were doing push-ups in the fucking mud. That's awesome. And I was like, this is so fucking cool.
It's like from a movie.
Yeah, it was like from The Longest Yard or some shit. I remember that, too. I still remember that. Yeah. That was when I was like 15.
But like you can go back to that and say, I did that shit. Yeah. I can do this. This is nothing comparably. So that's why guys do it, I think. Because they have to be able to pull on this strength, from like their past or whatever right now. Yeah. When things get really tough, they're like, I had done harder shit than this before. This ain't nothing.
Shit, I did push-ups in the mud.
Yeah.
I can deal with this. Those were, and it was like, that too is like, because man, when they run you, they run you.
Yeah,
and you don't have a choice. Everybody's got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't like bitch out or everyone's gonna. Yeah, that's the other thing about like I was thinking about this like the other day when I was taking a cold shower. I've been doing cold showers every day for like 6 minutes in the morning.
Nice.
It's just like doing that one hard thing to start the day.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. And now I figure what I was thinking about.
But doing hard stuff.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just mentioned the shower, and then there was something else there.
I had something else, but I forget.
If you think of it, just interject.
But like doing all that stuff is so important. I'm sure it's probably important for women as well. They just have their other struggles that they probably just think about certain relationships that they dealt with or something. Maybe they gain strength from that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a woman. I'm not a woman. I don't know. We can ask
Monique or
one day what motivation for success. But I don't want to generalize, but generally speaking, women aren't out there punishing their bodies on purpose. Yeah. In the gym, they do, especially now because a lot more women are into it. But it was it's a very like women used to go to the gym and they run on the treadmill, stay in shape, and they would do a couple little dumbbell raises with 10 pounds. Now you got women in there deadlifting 400 pounds. Like there are people that are actually adopting that kind to mentality.
Yeah, which is interesting. But I feel
it's a very small segment. We live in that world, so it's. But most women aren't like that.
Yeah, right. Because we go to like one of the best gyms in New Jersey,
probably the country.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of women in there that take their training intensely and stuff. So like when you
Yeah.
see them, it's like some of these women, you're just
Holy
it's
shit.
impressive.
Yeah.
And sometimes like how strong they are, and sometimes just like wow, it's amazing how like shaped they are.
Yeah.
Not to be like perverted, but it's beautiful.
No.
And
it's
you can
not.
do
It's
that's
not.
okay.
I think that appreciating someone's hard work, I don't think there's anything sexual about
No,
it.
but people
They are
try to
they
sexualize
are
it.
sexy, but you're not going to the gym to fucking stare at people.
No.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
No, I try to stay away from people, but then people come up to me. No, it's like it's great because we have a bunch of friends at the gym.
yeah.
But you want to get in there and out, but also it's awesome to see your gym buddies.
Yeah. Actually, that was something that I wanted to mention. I was thinking about on the way over here. It was like, I was just thinking about this year and everything. And I was like, I would like to forget that 2022 happened because I probably endured the most difficult thing that I've ever had to deal with, probably.
So it's
up
going to
there.
make you stronger.
However,
eventually.
Through that,
Mhm.
I have made our friendship better. I have made 4 to 5 new friends, which, as we have discussed, it's hard to make friends as an adult.
Yeah. And good friends that like want the best for you.
For everybody.
And not going to be negative and
Yeah.
try to put you down because
We all just build each other up.
yeah, exactly.
And I am so grateful for those people that came into my life because maybe I would have met them, maybe I wouldn't have. But like the other night, we went out to dinner, 7 of us. We had a great time, and I was just sitting there like, man, this is so nice.
I agree. Honestly, it felt like a family.
Yeah, it did.
Right?
Yeah.
Not trying to get like weird or anything, but
No, it's not weird.
and the one person or the two people, Matt and Liz, like we just barely started talking to them, but
Yeah.
they just fit right in because they're just like down to earth and just like have really cool stories to tell and just good overall people.
Well, I know Matt through Tim,
Okay.
but Matt was working at a different place. He was working at Newell Fitness. But I knew him and Tim were friends.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Matt started working at Health Quest, and I just walked up to him and introduced myself.
Yeah.
And then Liz, his girlfriend, we just kind of started all seeing each other there at the same time, and it's been really great. I never thought that I would like through such trauma that I would meet like a few really great people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if putting good energy out in the world through hard times and trying to be as positive as possible no matter what like manifested
It
those
does.
people to come into my life to like make me feel better. Because dude, if I was alone
Yeah.
going through this and at home just alone,
Yeah.
and that can be anything stressful. It doesn't have to do specifically with what I dealt with, but just sitting at home on your ass doing nothing and potentially drinking or doing other things that are destructive to you,
Yeah.
it's just going to prolong that
Yeah.
negativity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, you know how many times I was just so drained of energy and I was like, I don't want to go to the gym. But I've been sitting on my ass for 8 hours and I need to go. I will feel better after this. I feel like I want to cry right now because I'm so stressed out.
Yeah.
But I go, I get it done, socialize a little bit,
Yep.
and then it like
Feel great.
makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I go home, hang out, get in bed. Like it's just you don't realize sometimes you just have to push through things when you don't want to. That perseverance is very important.
I would agree, and like that's a super important when it comes to sobriety because there's gonna be so many days where you're just gonna want to say, "Fuck this!" Like I'm tired today. I'm this or whatever. Could be real or imaginary, and it's just those days you have to have that perseverance to say no. And it's hard as fuck. Like I've quit for like almost 4 years coming up. But before that, I was sober for 4 years. So it's kind of weird because I'm like,
wait, you were sober for 4 years before you? Wait.
Yeah, so I've been sober for 4 years, but before that I was like, drinking hard for like a year. But before that, I was sober for 4 years. So what I'm saying, like I had a pretty big break where I was completely sober and straight edge, and then I went to one wine tasting thing, and then it just like sped up again. And then I was
because you were actually drinking when you were younger, and then you took a 4-year break, and then a year hard again, and then another. Now you're 4.
Yeah, almost 4.
Okay.
And so like with 4 years coming up, it's kind of weird because I almost feel like I've been a good boy for 4 years.
Don't do it.
I know I'm not going to, but like internally or whatever, like there's some part of my brain that's like, well, you've been so good for 4 years, you could have a little treat. But I know, like, obviously, because I tried that last time, it didn't work out. But it's just like that is probably one of the hardest parts of quitting is when you think you have a hold on it, and you're like, okay, well, I haven't drank for a couple days. I'm just going to have one drink. And maybe you only have that one drink. So you're like, oh, okay, everything's fine. And then next time you say same thing's going to happen. Then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to have one. But then you start to overdo it. And then you feel horrible about it. And then your resilience to drinking starts to fade again.
Right. So that's like what I would do would like after that, like 2-3 days, I'm like, okay, I feel, better now. I'm going to go get a bottle of whatever. And I'm just going to have like a glass of whiskey.
Yeah. It's a nice glass.
Like, I'm not going to be very, pedestrian about this. I'm just going to be responsible. And then like midnight rolls around and I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. One more. And that's the trick that you tell yourself is that it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And then like
that's not
8 drinks deep, you're like, this was a horrible idea.
What did I do?
How do I get sober now? Well, actually, you don't say that because when you're drinking, you don't give a fuck about anything.
That's true. Even if you know it's wrong, that's why people love to do it.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But I've been too high before. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do I get unhigh? I don't want to feel like this right now. Because it does the opposite thing. It actually opens your eyes more.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're more sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for real. And that's why, like, sometimes if people are high, they might seem slower. But
we're talking about marijuana here, by the way, not cocaine.
That's true. There's many different highs. But, like, I guess maybe what I'm saying is not actually true, but from what I think happens, like if you're smoking weed and you get high that way, like you're sensing so many more things. Mm-hmm. So you might seem like really slow to everyone else.
Yeah.
But just because you're absorbing way more. So obviously it's like a computer. So you're like processing way more at the same time.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I actually, that's really, taking like edibles or stuff like that. Because it's a little bit, it doesn't get me to the point where smoking will, where I'll get like really like.
But smoking weed?
Sometimes it makes me like paranoid,
Yeah.
With the edible, at least I know exactly how much I'm getting, and I know how I'm going to feel.
Yeah. Oh, true. Because like if you take more of a puff or less of one,
you could take like 2 hits and feel normal, and then you take one more and you just off. You're on Pluto.
I've like, what I mean? I smoked like 2 times when I was a kid, and I just didn't know how to do it, so I stopped. And plus, it hurt my lungs.
I don't like the act of smoking either. Like I hate it. But
you like
I've only done that a few times, but the effect is nice. But what I was thinking about the other day, in the recent past, I took an edible, and I was actually like contemplating how fucking stupid I am for drinking that much. I had like a self-analytical conversation with me.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, dude? Why are you... I didn't get upset, but I was like, I've never thought about it this way before.
Yeah, it slows down sometimes for some people, like, and I'm not promoting like drug use, but for some people...
No, for me, it's medicinal. I mean, I have a car, I have the card and everything.
Yeah, so it's not like, that everyone has...
It's totally harmless.
But so Yeah, there's just a lot of like you were talking about. You're able to kind of like talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if you're like, you're working crazy hard, you're doing math all day, you're you're on caffeine, all these things, you're stressed out, someone's texting you this, that, your body's actually like going so quick in so many directions that you're never actually able to like really talk to yourself.
Yeah.
So what weed does, it slows your like thinking down, but to a level where you can actually start to like the back and forth.
Yeah. To me, it's like it removes the veil of bullshit that I tell myself. And I just see things for the truth and what they are.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. That's why I like it.
Huh.
But like I said, I've gotten too high before. And this is not recently. This is in the past.
Yeah.
That's why I don't smoke anymore. And I never, ever, like, I smoked for the first time when I was like 18. And then, 12 years went by. Yeah, and I never did it. Like, it was never a thing for me.
Yeah.
And when I found out about the medical use type thing, I was like, because I don't like doing anything that's illegal.
Yeah.
So that's why I stayed away from it.
Yeah,
it's illegal.
Just drank
I'm not gonna. You can walk into any liquor store and buy enough to kill yourself, but you can't, smoke weed.
Some weed. Yeah.
So I just avoided it for 15 years, and then in the last 2 years, I think it was 2020 or 2021.
21? I think it was 2021.
2021, like the end of 2021, they finally made it legal. And I was like, all right, let me try.
Yeah.
And I still have been very sporadic with it.
Yeah. Which is probably good because...
Yeah, I'm not going to do it all the time.
Yeah,
so it's like once every other week. You know what I mean? It's
you're not doing it every day or something.
Not at all.
And honestly, like, so the guy that created AA... he actually used psychedelics, and that whole experience kind of like brought him closer to God, or whatever you want to call it. And through that experience, he didn't want to drink anymore. Kind of like how you said, even just doing the weed, you were actually able to talk to yourself and like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Why would you do that?
And then because you can't see the stupid excuses. Well, because of this, and because
I broke up with my girlfriend, or I have no money in my bank account.
But this isn't good for you.
Yeah.
You're like,
you were mentioning the psychedelic thing. It's like there actually are doctors now prescribing people. They're microdosing them in office.
Yeah,
they're inpatient facilities where they're microdosing people with like ketamine.
Yeah,
and I don't know if
LSD.
Yeah, I don't know about the acid one. Acid and LSD the same thing? I'm such a fucking noob when it comes to drugs.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I've only drank a ton. I've never branched out.
That's okay. You've done enough.
I did enough to myself. But psychedelics don't damage your organs. They don't. You come off of them, and it's because it's your brain. It's not your body.
Yeah, exactly. And psychedelics have been proven to to decrease depression and stuff in certain studies. So yeah, there's a lot of good to come from it. It's just kind of weird that they were, if you had possession of them for a long time, and still, I guess, you could get in a lot of trouble. But now they're like, you can get it
depending on the state.
Okay, from the state.
It depends on which state you're in. I think Oregon and Washington State.
Okay.
Because Washington's like super liberal.
Gotcha.
They have, they're one of the first places that legalized marijuana, and they also have legalized mushrooms.
Yeah. No, and like, I'm going to sound totally
which
hippie.
I've also never done.
It sound like totally hippie here, but, and like, probably a lot of people agree. But yeah, like, psychedelics and all these kind of things, they can be overdone as well. Like, they can be abused. But for the most part, like, it's just kind of weird that those type of drugs, which usually, if taken safely and not abused, they can actually help your brain out, especially with people that had, certain disorders. But also, if certain people with like schizophrenia and whatnot, if they take psychedelics, that can really actually mess with them more. So it depends on the person and the preconditions. But yeah, it's just interesting, like that we have this weird view on drugs. Like they're either, well, usually when you say drugs, you think bad, but then like vaccines and other types of drugs, people think good. But you just have to really, you just have to really see like what's, what does this drug do, and then is it safe, and or how much is safe, and like these types of things.
Yeah.
And with alcohol, honestly, no amount is safe because it just destroys your body. It's a toxin to your body.
Totally toxic.
Like weed's not a toxin, but if you take too much weed, you can have problems too. Like so with anything, if you abuse anything, but what I'm trying to say with alcohol, there's any amount is abuse for alcohol. Yeah. And I would say, like with nicotine, if you took a small dose, you could probably be okay with it.
Yeah.
But you would get addicted too quick.
Nicotine, actually, I think I read a thing somewhere, I heard it somewhere, is that caffeine is actually the thing that Americans are the most addicted to.
I would agree with that. I'm addicted to it. I probably have.
I'm totally addicted to it.
600 milligrams a day, which is like the maximum of what you're supposed to. Oh, actually, I think it's 400.
My pre-workout has 350 milligrams in it.
Yeah, it's not good.
And that's a shot of caffeine. It's like, wham, But you know what's weird? Is that caffeine withdrawals are actually really, really bad. Because if you swear off of caffeine... Totally.
Yeah.
You get like super drowsy because your body's used to having it in your system at all times.
Yeah, for a couple of days.
And the half-life of caffeine, and I'm not a scientist, but the half-life of caffeine is pretty long. So it actually takes like a few hours for it to actually get out of your system, which is why like taking 350 milligrams in pre-workout at 6 o'clock at night, and you're wondering why you're staring at the ceiling at 3 o'clock in the morning is because there's still caffeine in your body.
And then you're like, I think I just have anxiety. I think I have anxiety problems. So like that's true to a certain extent, but it exasperates it.
You know what coffee does to me now? And I've cut back on coffee too. I'll only drink there's this brand called the Kill Cliff. Have you heard of that? They have him at the gym. That guy Andy Stump. Okay, that's his company.
Okay,
but it's like a recovery energy drink, but it only has 200 milligrams of caffeine in it.
Okay,
and it's like a refined version of it. It's not like pure from coffee.
Okay,
because what I've noticed with coffee, specifically coffee, not caffeine from another type, is I get like hot flashes all day long. I'm like hot, cold. I'm like start to like sweat and shit. What is wrong with me?
That sounds like something with like the veins, like your veins.
I don't know.
Contracting too much and then opening up too much.
Well, I think caffeine is a vasorestrictor.
Yeah. So usually that makes you colder.
Yes. Take some arginine and citrulline. You'll be fine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for the pump.
Or some beet extract. What is it? Beet extract. I have this 2 pills I take every day. It's like something from beets. I don't know. Apparently beets are really good for like your heart and blood pressure and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So it's just like pure beets.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a little red pill.
Yeah.
I don't know if it does anything, but...
It probably does.
But hey. I've been trying to take like vitamins and stuff. I was taking those Animal Pack.
Yeah, those are good.
Vitamins like once a day. Sometimes they're too much. I kind of have to like give my liver a break.
Yeah.
From processing all those micronutrients.
Yeah,
because it just comes out. Your body's not absorbing it all; it's purging it.
Yeah, and then there's certain vitamins like water soluble vitamins, so those you'll pee out. But then the fat soluble ones, you'll keep in your fat. But if you keep taking way too much of it, you can actually get sick eventually.
Wait, what is it? Fat soluble?
Yeah, I
don't understand that.
So certain vitamins, the fat soluble ones need. Fat to move through your body.
Right.
While the water ones use water. So so your body will use the amount of vitamins that it needs for both, But with the fat soluble vitamins, if you don't need it at that moment, it'll say, okay, store in the fat cells. But if you overtake certain vitamins, like I think vitamin E is a fat soluble one, like you're taking like 1,000, the daily value for a long time, you can get really sick from that. From taking a vitamin.
Yeah,
you think.
Well, there's
fine. So that's abusing something like the vitamins or whatever.
There's a. I love that movie. Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn anything about steroids, go watch that movie. It's by Chris Bell. It's an incredible movie. I've seen it like half a dozen times.
Doesn't he talk? He talks about other stuff like
other stuff too. Yeah, it's performance enhancement, but not just steroids. Like they talked about Tiger Woods getting his eyes done,
and that other guy like in a oxygen deprivation chamber. So it was like he was purposely making his body have less oxygen, so then his body would be forced to make more red blood cells.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So crazy.
And your muscles use red blood cells as they're pumping.
Yeah.
And then, blood doping was a huge thing. There's 4 ways you can do it, right? Yeah. You can increase your red blood cells. You can train at altitude.
Yep.
You can sleep in a oxygen deprivation tank.
Yep.
Which are legal. It's totally legal to do that. They even have an Olympic training center in Denver for that very reason.
Yeah.
But you can also blood dope, which is you remove the blood from your body.
Yep.
Like a month before.
They inject it.
And then they re-inject it a couple days before the competition.
Yep.
So you have physically more blood inside of you.
Yep.
Or you can take EPO, which will increase red blood cells chemically. It tells your body to create more.
Yeah.
And cyclists, Lance Armstrong.
That's what he got caught.
That's what he got caught with.
Yeah,
it was the whole team, though. It wasn't just him. It was everybody.
Yeah, well, they need a scapegoat.
You can't compete at that elite level without doing it.
They need a scapegoat. They always pick.
Of course. And Lance Armstrong's kind of an asshole, so they were like, well, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be him.
And he's won it a lot. He's cocky, so we'll screw him over.
Exactly.
No, it's too funny. But, and it's funny because, if he did the other way, he would have never got in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's stupid because the result is exactly the same. I guess maybe injecting it, they think is easier than sleeping in the chamber, which is true to a certain extent.
And you can probably regulate how much red blood cells your body produces with an injection.
More than maybe you could do with...
He actually told a story that I heard that he was on the bus with his cyclist buddies, the whole team, and the buses were under the bikes were in a truck that was following them.
Yeah.
And some of the guys, after taking EPO, they started to feel really uncomfortable because your blood turns to syrup because there's so many red blood cells in it.
So your heart has to be really strong to take EPO, or else you probably will have a freaking heart attack.
And that's what they were worried about. So they got out of the bus at 12 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And got their bikes out of the truck in the back.
Yeah.
And the bus followed them at 20 miles an hour for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So that they could, for lack of a better term, burn off that feeling that they had and use up those blood cells.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a crazy story. Lance Armstrong was on Joe Rogan about 5 years ago. And that's where I heard that story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It
turns your blood to molasses.
Yeah, because it's twice as thick as normal.
It gets thicker. Yeah, well, that's what the viscosity of your blood is. It's the amount of red blood cells that are in it.
So the more red blood cells, the more syrupy it is.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I heard something about people who are drunk. When you're intoxicated, you bleed a lot more. I don't know what the reason for that is, but
that's interesting.
You bleed more. I mean, maybe it's because your blood thins when you drink. I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. We'll have to do a callback on that one.
It has to be something like thinning of it, because that's really the only way that you bleed out quicker. And if it's thicker, you bleed out not as quick, obviously, because it
Yeah.
clots like right away. It's like a clot.
There's this hilarious story. I follow what is like car podcast, and there's this guy that tells these hilarious stories, and he was talking about this lady that he known around town, that he drove home one day from something was wrong with her car. He drove her home, and they developed this like friendship.
Yeah.
And she like showed up at his house drunk one night with blood all over her.
Jesus.
And he goes, well, when your blood alcohol level is half, you bleed out quicker. So I had to go and do my research, obviously, because I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I had heard that before, that you bleed more from like one of my friends is a volunteer firefighter. So he had to go through like you don't have to be, you're not an EMT, but you have to get the certification, first aid certification.
Gotcha.
From Red Cross or whatever.
Yeah, I've gotten that before.
He said to me, he had mentioned that to me too.
Oh, yeah.
When I cut my arm, we talked about that.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm surprised you didn't bleed out. Like he was just joking with me. You know, it's not a funny
Scary,
joke.
yeah.
That was that was not a good time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Alternatives to AA. If you would like to contact us directly, please shoot us an email at alternatives2aa2021@gmail.com. We also hope that you continue to join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. You can watch us live on YouTube. You can subscribe to us that way as well. You can leave us a 5-star rating and follow us on Spotify. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, we ask that you please leave a rating and an honest review.
We'll see you next week. Bye.